to go back home tomorrow. But although it's like literally so sad, like we really weren't planning on leaving this early. Hard to leave. I mean, there is like a lot of bright side to what we're going through currently, because a lot of us are just like reflecting on how it's been, what we're thankful for through this program, just trying to stay positive. And there's literally so much to be grateful for. Like, everyone in the program loved each other. We could all hang out at and just do anything. Didn't matter like what school you went to or like which apartment you lived in, everything. Like, we generally got along. The whole point of study abroad is to see like the world, and I mean, although it generally was not preferable, like the world is in a major crisis right now. We got to see how each country, handled it kind of like from afar. Like, we saw Australia had cases and it was really like relaxed, and then America started getting cases, and then that's when they were like not really taking it seriously at first, and then they were like just like started shutting down a lot of stuff. And then like we saw like with Europe, and like our friends were studying abroad, so we got to see how they reacted and when they got sent home, and then we were all talking to each other. And then there was like a lot of emotions too going in, because we went from there's gonna be everything's fine to there's probably a shutdown, like, or there's a travel ban for like 30 days, and we're like, oh, like it's fine, like 2 more months here anyway, so we probably have like time to really just wait it out, and by the time we're done with this program, like we'll come home, to us to this lasting like a couple months. So then we probably should start getting ready. So we're like, okay, like we should probably leave early April opposed to mid-May. And then it went from like you guys need to leave like ASAP. So then we're like, okay, we'll leave within the next week. And to like, no, like you guys should leave by this weekend, otherwise there won't be any flights to get into the US. And so we're looking at flights, and flights could be up to $13,000. Like, and from the grace of God, like some of us got like in the hundred, or most of us got flights that were in the hundreds, if not all of us. So like that alone is amazing. We're still just praying every single day, like making sure like everyone gets on a flight, and who wants to go home has a chance to go home, that they have that advantage, or have that opportunity. So yeah, it's been a lot of emotions, but with everything, just surely grateful for it all. But everybody has different takeaways from it, so I want to include theirs, and also just like reminisce on the amazing time that we've had with everyone and everything. Even though my study abroad experience wasn't planned and ended the way that it did, like I wouldn't change the time that I had before everything went down. We've had so many laughs, and we've built such strong bonds. Like, I'm forever grateful for this experience, and I'm so happy that I've done it.
Hi guys, I'm Sarah. I'm one of Ashlyn's friends from study abroad, coming at you live from my childhood bedroom in Northern Virginia, which is a little bit different than the beaches of Australia, but although our time did get cut short, I'm so grateful for like every moment that we did get to have. One of the main reasons that I decided to go abroad was because I was a little tired of the same routine. I felt myself getting burnt out, and I wanted to meet so many new people and have new experiences that I wouldn't have, at UVA, which is where I go to school. And I feel like that totally happened, and I wanted to just share that there's so many people I met because of Ashlyn, because of her just outgoingness and willingness to go up and talk to strangers, and I felt like that was so like fresh and what I needed. So I'm just so glad that everyone that we hung out with was so willing to go explore and try new things and have new experiences, and I hope that obviously we all get to go back one day. So
Australia gave me some of my best friends and memories that I'll hold in my heart forever, and I definitely saw myself grow as a person and become more confident, and I can't wait to go back.
Brandon is to like enjoy every single moment that you're abroad, because you really don't know at what time everything is gonna change, and it also helps me put into perspective how like small a problem could be compared to what the problems that some of the people in the world are facing. And I also feel like I learned a lot about not only the Australian culture but the American culture as well, and the struggles of being an American or of being Australian, which is really cool. I loved spending well, I'm still spending time so I love being here. I think that it's one of the prettiest cities in the world. It's such a pretty atmosphere, has such a great vibe. Every place around the town is so pretty. And I feel like my favorite memory of Sydney is me getting lost around the city and trying to be able to get back home, even though I was completely lost. I feel like none of this makes sense, but I did love it here.
Australia was a dream, and I'm so grateful for all the people I met and all the places I got to see and the growth that I saw within myself, and I feel a lot more independent now, and I wish I was there.
I think the coolest part about Sydney was the diversity of the city itself, where I think in a lot of states or cities in the United States, you kind of have to pick one thing. Like if you choose New York, you kind of have to forego the nature aspect, or if you pick LA, it's such a big city, it's so hard to get around in. I think Sydney is a very easy city to get around in, but you also have access to like beaches and the nature aspect of things, but it's also really like a cool city with a lot of different food options and a lot of like diversity, and so that was really cool. I also got to see what like good public transportation looks like. It was really nice to have the light rail and the buses and the trains, and it made everything a lot more accessible, especially since we didn't have cars or anything like that. And so yeah, that's my takeaway from Sydney.
What I loved most about Australia was not necessarily Australia, but being able to explore different parts of myself and just grow with people around me as we get closer with each other.
Overall, I had a really, really nice time in Australia. I met super nice people. I got to travel to Japan during the break we had between January term and term 1, and that's a place I've always wanted to go. I got to eat amazing food that was in central Sydney. And I think the biggest takeaway I have from the trip is that I'm much more equipped to handle stressful situations, because our group was up against a lot as soon as we got there. I think maybe a couple weeks, or maybe even about a week after we arrived, we were already getting emails asking whether or not we wanted to go back or whether we wanted to switch, because at the time, Australia was experiencing its most brutal bushfire season, I think, ever. And then later in the semester, there was flooding. And now our semester ultimately came to a close with everything that's going on with the coronavirus. And I must say, I'm really proud of the way that I and the rest of the people in my program handled the situation, because I don't think we over or underreacted. We just kind of worked to stay informed. We worked with Kate, who was our amazing program advisor, and she was able to give us accurate information on what was going on, because she just had more access to information as one of the program directors of IES. And I think a really good thing that we did is that we acknowledged that although all of these things were affecting our study abroad experience, all of these things were bigger than us. Although there were some days that we couldn't be able to go outside as much because the air was a little smoky, or ultimately we had to come back home a bit early because of the coronavirus. In terms of the bushfires, there were people who were getting displaced from their homes, and animals were losing their entire habitats. And in the case of the coronavirus, there are people getting sick. There are people who may have trouble paying their bills because they're not going to be able to go to work. There's just so many things going on, and there are just so many things that are happening that are bigger than us. So I'm proud of the way that we were able to just keep things in perspective and make the most of the time that we had in Australia while we were there.
Probably just being in another country and experiencing different culture, even if it's like, I didn't think Australia was that different from the US, but I'm still like not home, and I'm getting to experience new people in a new place, and like actually living with people that like I didn't know, but kind of like different from Howard, and it was cool.
Sydney is probably my favorite place I've ever been. I loved being able to live with people that became some of my best friends. I loved being able to go to the beach all the time and walk around and explore Sydney, and I can't wait to live there again in a year.
Takeaways. The reason I decided to study abroad in Sydney is because I'm a big beach ocean person, and I really wanted to be close to the beach, and I wanted to dive and surf and do water things as opposed to, you know, being in Europe and kind of jumping from country to country and touring museums and monuments all day. Not that that's bad, I want to do that eventually, but for my study abroad experience, I really wanted to be in one place to get to know, you know, the city and the people, and I wanted to be somewhere warm, to be honest, which was great. You know, the first month of January was really hot. We had one day that was around 106 degrees, and it was great. We got to go to the beach all the time. But yeah, I really, really loved Sydney. I loved studying abroad there. I loved being in Australia. It was a great mix of, I think the reason why I love Sydney so much is it's a great mix of city and more things to do outdoors. I think what I learned about myself throughout this process is I do like being in cities, but I don't like cities that are just, you know, solely city and you can't get out. And that's how Sydney kind of reminded me of home, of San Francisco, because, you know, you have the downtown area, but the surrounding areas are, you know, water, beach, or they're more suburbs, and then you get into, you know, nature, national parks. So I really liked that mix of being able to not be stuck in a city, but also you're not stuck in the middle of nowhere. There's a lot of diversity and things to do. Yeah, I just really loved it. The people were really friendly. And yeah, it was just so much fun. I can't, you know, Ashlyn wanted me to pick a favorite memory, and I don't even know if I can do that. I think one part of what I loved about my program and studying abroad were really the people. I, you know, became friends with everyone in my program, and they were so awesome. You guys were all awesome. And that, I think, is what made it fun. Like, a lot of times we would go out as a huge group, and, you know, we're all kind of in it together in the sense that we've never had been to Australia, so we're all just trying to get to know the place. So that was really fun, and you know, a lot of my favorite memories, I think, are the beginning. It's fun to look back on, you know, when you're done with an experience where you started, and I always kind of laugh at how, you know, excited we were to be there and how fun it was. One memory that comes to mind is when we first went to Coogee Pav for lunch, and after me and Malish jumped off these like small rocks in Coogee, at Coogee Beach, and it was funny because I wasn't expecting the water to be so cold. I thought it would be, you know, super warm, and it wasn't. But that's just a favorite memory because we had never been to Coogee. That was first time at the Pav, and it was just fun because we didn't know what to expect, and you know, it turned out to work out so well, and we all got along, and it was so fun. Yeah, one thing I learned probably from the experience is I think I was really pushed out of my comfort zone in Australia, which obviously everyone is when they go abroad, but I did a lot of things that I normally wouldn't do. Climbing the Harbour Bridge, I'm super scared of heights, and I feel like doing that kind of conquered my fear a little bit.
going out to new places and just trying new things. And I'm glad that, even though we weren't there for a long time, that I was able to do these things and kind of take advantage of being in a new place. And I think it just taught me to be more open-minded about things, about trying new things, and also being alone by myself and figuring out my way around a city. I think sometimes I would feel uncomfortable, afraid of getting lost or whatever, but towards the end I was taking the bus by myself and figuring out where to go, and I think that, I learned a little bit from that, of figuring out things on my own, which was great. I don't know if I would change anything about studying there. Our apartment was infested with cockroaches, so that sucked, yeah. But bugs are to be expected in Australia. We only saw one huntsman, and I'm glad for that and surprised it was only one. But yeah, I think maybe I wish I went in the water more. That sounds so tiny, but we'd go to the beach a lot, and I wish I almost went more. We did every day, at least a few times a week go, but now that I'm stuck indoors, I miss it.